go through and do a pumpkin painting with you, get in the fall spirit. So you're going to need everything that was in your kit. You're going to need canvases, the 3 primers, yellow, blue, red, and black and white paint, your 2 paintbrushes, a big and a little, and in addition to that, have a glass of water handy and a paper towel or a towel, just so you could dry your brush. So the first thing that we are going to work on is our background. I had a little mishap, so you'll see a little color on there, but that's okay. So our background's going to go from yellow to blue on the top. So what I'm going to do, and we'll have a little green in there as well, is I'm going to put a little yellow on my brush, and I'm going to make like a yellow hill. Now everything above this yellow line, well, half of it, you're just going to paint yellow. And I'm painting on my curve, just so it's a little easier. So you're painting, like, let's say this line is the horizon line, you're painting half your sky yellow. Once you do that, you're going to wash and dry your brush. And we're going to soften like the yellow down here. So I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to put a little white in it, and just go back and forth with the white, try and blend some of that yellow, soften it up. I'm bringing some of the yellow down so you have like darker yellow into the lighter yellow. Get some more white. We're trying to get like a little ombre effect. And then the bottom here, I'm just going to fill in with white. We're not going to see this that much because our pumpkin is going to be there. And I'm holding my canvas horizontally, but you could do it any way that you'd like. Alright, so we got our yellow. So now we're going to start filling in the top. And how we're going to fill it in is, we want it to be really light blue, so I'm going to dip my brush in white and then dip in a tiny little blue and add that to your top. And then I'm just going to bring this down. I'm not even going, you probably don't even need much paint. If you need more paint, dip in the white. Because you only need a tiny hint of blue. And I'm going to keep on dipping into the white, and I'm going to go into my yellow and go back and forth between that yellow and the blue. And it's going to make a little green. Our background is going to be really subtle. If you have a little darker blue on the top, that's fine. I actually wanted to show more blue than this, but that's all right. Got a little more green. So we got some green, we have blue in the corner. I'm gonna put a little more blue up here. Just washed and dried my brush again. I'm just gonna go back and blend. And I'm just blending with a clean brush. Bam. Alright, so I'm going to let this dry a little, and then we're going to come back and draw our pumpkin. My bottom is mostly dry, but while that's drying a little more, what we're going to do is we're going to make some orange paint. So I have a little palette here, and I am going to put some yellow, and then mix a tiny, tiny bit of red into it. And you should get a nice little orange. And if you want it darker, you can just keep on adding red, but you want to add a little bit at a time. I think that's pretty good. All right, so now what we are going to do is we are going to draw our pumpkin. So I just washed my brush to get a lot of that paint off. I'm using my bigger brush, and we are going to draw our pumpkin, and it's really simple. I'm going to draw it, it's going to be off center, so it's going to be towards the left. So what we're going to do, you're going to dip in a tiny bit of orange. The less you have on your brush, the thinner your lines are going to be, and it just might be easier. So we're going to start by making the main oval of the pumpkin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nice little oval, but I'm going to cut off the bottom of my oval so you don't see it. Then from that oval, I'm going to make 1, 2 curved lines. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2. And it's going to go off the side of the canvas. So just kind of, if I left it a little chunky, I'm just blending it a little bit. So what you're going to do, we're going to paint the first section of that little oval. So I'm going to get my orange and I'm just going to paint that oval orange. If your white isn't completely dry, you might just get a little lighter, but that's okay. And the white helps the orange cover the canvas a little better because it's covering pretty well. These things with yellow usually don't cover that well. So while I have that shape, we're going to add some shadows. So I am going to, on the lower half along the edge, I'm going to put a red line here and a red line here, and then wash your brush. And what you're just going to do with that clean brush, you're just going to blend that red in. Just so you get a little shadow. And my top portion, I'm going to take my yellow and just blend, put a yellow and a little yellow on the outside. And then clean your brush and blend. Put a little brush hair right here, it's going to bother me. Oops. As I take all my paint off. And I'm just blending with a clean brush. Ooh, got a little red in there, but that's okay. Alright, so now I'm going to go section by section. I'm going to paint my next section orange. And what I am going to do, wash your brush. And then where it meets the previous section, I am just going to put a stripe of white. We just want to tell the difference between all the sections. So I put some white there, and then on the outside I'm going to put red. And then wash your brush and blend with a clean brush. If you get a lot of red in the beginning, that's okay. Then do my following section, orange. Wash your brush. Put a little white. White and then red along the edge. And then I put a lot of red, so I'm going to take some orange and blend with the orange. We're also going to add lines that show the difference between the sections, but it's just how I like to do it. Then I'm going to go back, do this orange section. A little red from the previous. Wash your brush. Put a little white highlight. And the other side, I'm going to add a little red. Then I'm washing my brush and blending. I'm going to do my other section now, orange. And then I'm just going to put a little white to highlight. And ta-da! We're going to let that dry a little, and then we'll come back, add some more colors on top of it. and then we'll add more highlights. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a little funky and we're gonna make some brown. So to make brown, I'm just gonna seal one of the caps to my paint. And to make brown, all you have to do is you're gonna add every single color together. So I'm gonna mix a little red, a little yellow, a little red, and then put a little blue into it. That's coming out very purpley, so I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. Gonna add a little of this pre-made orange. And it's like a little gray-y brown, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do with this brown is I'm gonna start making a stem. So I'm gonna start in the center. I almost like to make make a T to make my stem. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just along that curve, I'm just gonna go along that curve. And this is gonna become an upside down T. So that's my upside down T right now. And then the thing about a pumpkin stem is they're thicker on the bottom, thinner on top. So I'm just gonna connect the sides to the top, but keep that top really skinny. Should look like a witch's hat almost. Very, you could see it's not covering that well, but I'm just gonna let that dry and then I'll put a second coat. While I'm doing this, I'm gonna use my small brush, that was my small brush, and I'm going to add a little whimsy to it. So I'm gonna add a little, take your time when you're doing a little swirly swirl, and that's what's gonna, our branch is, our leaves are going to be connected this way. Basically drawing the dead vine of the pumpkin. Okay. I'm going to leave it like that, and then we'll make a little orange, a little green in a little bit. So right now I'm gonna let everything dry for a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna come back, add highlights, and add another coat on my stem, and we'll add some leaves. Back with my pumpkin, and it's taking a little while to dry, but I figured I'm gonna start adding some more colors into my pumpkin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some yellow now, and I'm just gonna add some yellow, like just at the tops where those bumps are. So once again, it's going to be almost like a highlight. So at the top of each bump, I'm just adding a little yellow, blending it a little bit. My light is so bad over here. Make this a little darker over here so you can see it a little better. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is with a clean brush, and I'm going to add, so I'm just adding a little white just in the center, the main oval, just on the right side a little. Adding little white highlights. in random places up towards the top. Alrighty, so next what we're going to do, we're going to go back to that stem. I'm actually going to use my big brush, and I'm just going to give my stem another coat. And I'm going to make the base of my stem just a little bit larger. Once I do a second coat, I'm going to go back with my small brush and a little black. I'm just going to add a little black to the bottom of my stem. Wash my brush out. Now I'm going to use my little brush and add a little white to my stem. I'm adding it on my left side, just a little streaks. Give it a nice highlight. So now we're going to work on that little line. I'm going to go back over it, a little darker. I'm going to make things coming off of it too. Now our last step is we're going to make a little green. So on your little palette, I'm going to mix a little yellow, a little blue, clean your brush, add a little yellow. You'll need a lot more yellow than blue. I'm going to add a little more yellow. And you might want to add a little white to it too. White usually helps it cover the canvas a little bit. I'm going to make it light, and then on the canvas I'll make it a little darker by adding a little more blue to it. So now I am going to draw my little leaf. So I'm going to make a leaf at the end of my little curly Q over here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line first. And from that line, I made that line, and what I'm going to do from that line, what I'm going to do is on the left side, I'm going to make 1, 2, and then end with a point. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, end with a point. And I'm just going to fill that in with the green. I'm going to add some of the blue to make this leaf. On the left side, I'm adding some blue. On the right side, I'm adding some blue. Add some yellow on top of that. I just want to make it a teeny bit darker. And if it has variance in color, it'll look a little more realistic. That's kind of the style that we're going for, like we put a lot of colors into our pumpkin. So I want you to put a lot of colors into your, or a lot of color into your leaf. So on the left side, I just took off some paint on my brush and put a little white. I'm gonna add a little white on my left side. So we have a little leaf. I am going to wash my small brush, and I am going to put a tiny bit of black paint on the end of my small brush, and I'm just going to make a line down the center of my leaf. My paint's really wet, so it's going to mix with my paint a little bit, but that's okay. Tiny little bit of brown, tiny little bit of black, and then I'm going to take some brown with a clean brush and just kind of blend some of that black. Because black has a tendency to make everything flat, so we just don't want it to be black. Alright, so we have our leaf. So at this point, you guys, if you want to add more of those curly cues, you could also make a little curly cue coming out of the stem and add another leaf. Put some leaves down here to make a vine, to make like the vines on the ground. But I'm gonna leave you there. Add your little touches, but I want to see your final results, so make sure you post them on Instagram or send them to Jane at the library. All right, I hope you guys are doing good.